Good evening, Mr. Garneau.
Good evening, Barris.
I have a question in the area of transportation, your subject of interest. And they are not questions, a couple of them are comments. It has three components. The first one is that this last summer I had the chance to travel to Oslo, Norway. And the airport of Oslo, International Airport of Oslo, impressed me very much and reminded me of Canada because we are in many respects similar, also in terms of wood resource that we have, which is plenty. The Oslo airport is all the floor, it's a huge airport, beautiful airport. Wood is the main material used in building that airport. Interior of it, the floor, the ceilings, everything was wood. Beautiful, very good material for eco part and so forth. And I thought to share that with you, that we have many international airports in Canada, and I've visited most of them. I do not recall any airports we have used, and if we want to sell our wood, which we have problems selling it, it's better to use it in a demonstrable way for the, particularly foreigners who come, in order to develop market for our wood. So this is a suggestion that in future developments of airports, wood should be considered as the important main material. The second part of my comment is that in the same travel, I purchased tickets. Now, this is with the passengers' bill of right. And I looked at it. It has components about the delay and 2, 3 other things. But there are many other areas that the passenger could have difficulty with an airline. An airline being an international institution, not having an office where you are, it creates challenges. And what I experienced in this travel was that I purchased tickets and to go to Oslo and from another point in Europe. And then I noticed in a few hours that if I go through a different itinerary, I would save $600–700. And the airlines have policy that within 24 hours you can cancel it and you get full refund immediately. And I followed that. But in my case, even though I bought it with the same airline, the other ticket, but for more than $2,000, they always said they will do it, and they never did it for 2 months. And that has created lots of problems. So that brings me to the point that the challenges that passengers have with the airline are not limited to those 3, 4 that you have highlighted. Those are very important ones. Those are admittedly are very important, but there are other things that could passengers feel. And then that takes me to my third point, which goes to the government, is that what we basically need, we need a very powerful consumer's bill of right rather than air travel's bill of right. Because if you have a good consumer's bill of right, it addresses and it helps consumers in every respect, in every transaction. And particularly, I distrust the Liberal Party policy for helping the middle class. Now, the middle class interest is not limited only to tax and financial benefits. It's particularly important when it comes to the marketplace and dealing with companies and corporations. The middle class doesn't have the resources to fight with these things. They need a very strong level of protection in order to be able to stand this. So in the scope of addressing the needs of middle class, I strongly recommend something in the line of consumers' bill of right to be considered by the government.
Okay, thank you for your comments. On wood, yes, I think that there are no airports that are made out of wood unless they're very tiny little local airports that have shacks. Yeah. Wood is becoming more attractive in building, and there are more and more structures and higher structures. People used to think, oh, you can't build something out of wood above a certain number of floors, but there are new building techniques and new ways in which the wood is prepared that allow you to go 6, 10, I think the record is, 18 floors made out of wood. And it is an important product, and especially with the softwood lumber dispute that we have with our neighbors, which keeps coming back, I think that will give an impetus to, and we've got lots of wood in Canada, to using wood, and I know the industry is trying to diversify towards more wooden structures. And I'm not just talking about houses, I'm talking about commercial buildings. So I think, yeah, I would love to see an airport made out of wood. I think you can do it. I can't tell I can't make that a law. You must build it out of wood. But I like the idea. On the Bill of Rights for passengers, the things that we are addressing is that if you buy a ticket for a flight from Montreal to, I don't know, Winnipeg, once you've bought that ticket, you have a right to take that flight at the time when you booked it. And when you go to the airport, you have an expectation that the airplane will be there and that you will be able to take it and go to your destination. And you paid for that. What the Passenger Bill of Rights wants to do is to say that if that doesn't happen, or it's very delayed, or the aircraft or the airline says, oh, sorry, we're overbooked, can you give up your seat? Or if your baggage is lost, or if your baggage is damaged, or if you're sitting on the tarmac more than a certain amount of time, that you have a right to compensation. That is the purpose of it, and it's sort of focused on your flight. It's not focused on other measures that you have brought up with respect to changing your tickets and things like that. That would be a much bigger thing. Our focus is on, are your rights being respected? Once you've bought that ticket, you are owed that trip. That's the message there. And we feel that Canadians have wanted this for a long time, and we're going to make it happen. Now, having said that, there are circumstances where it's not the airline's fault. I mean, if it's thundering out there for hours, or if there's major snowstorms, that's not the airline's fault. Or if the air traffic control system falls apart and everything is grounded, that's not the airline's fault. So we have to also identify clearly what is within the control of the airline. But I think Canadians will appreciate this, and I think that it will give us better service. As for a consumer bill, I think there are lots of areas where we'd like to see consumer rights. There are consumer rights, but there isn't one big bill that covers everything. That could be a mammoth undertaking to cover everything that consumers would like to have in a Bill of Rights. Having said that, consumers do have certain rights with respect to products, and they have complaint mechanisms, but there isn't one all-embracing consumer bill that exists at the moment. Although, yeah, I bet you everybody here can think of an area where they wish they had more consumer rights. Thank you.